Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're back at the bridge of a Tier 6 aircraft carrier, bringing you the conclusion to this little kind of sub-series look through them, here from Japanese carrier Ryūjō. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I think the J is technically kind of silent, or you pronounce it like an H. I don't know. I'm not a Japanese expert. Don't ask me these things. Anyways, I'm gonna start off immediately saying, last video, I was talking about how rocket planes in the mid-tiers generally don't just absolutely slap around destroyers. I said I was going to make a liar of myself. You're about to see it happen. It happens literally on the very first pass of this video, right here. I'm going to pick up this T-22 with my rockets. I'm going to line him up. He's got his AA on, which I don't recommend this early in a game. And I'm going to land all 8 rockets on this guy for 5,500 damage out of an 11,000 health point ship. So yeah, hi, and welcome to Mid-Tier Carrier. As I was kind of pointing out earlier, that can happen. It is not common. I will say that's literally the only time I've managed it in all the games in Ryūjō I've been playing. So it's not normal, but apparently Ryūjō is the one carrier in the mid-tiers that theoretically could actually put all her rockets on target by virtue of the fact that she has that small reticle and then a little bit of blessing from RNG. Anyways, spawning here on the southwestern corner of Fault Line, I immediately look up, and in front of me, you can see on the minimap, we spotted last time, I have the T-22, which he's well acquainted with me by now. We have a Budyoni and a Königsberg and a Graf Spee. So, what do? Like a good Japanese carrier, I grab my armor-piercing dive bombs, because I've got a lot of squishy cruisers in front of me, and maybe I can get me some citadels. We'll see what happens. Königsberg popped his catapult fighter a little too early. You see it there just landing back on his deck. And he seems committed to this cap circle, so let's give it a go. Line up the drop. He's not slowing down. He's not turning his rudder. By the way, guys, this is not how you dodge dive bombs. But fortunately for him, I dropped a little too early. Most of those seem to go through his bow, and I get nothing out of them. I almost think maybe Königsberg is so lightly armored that the bombs have too much pen for him at this tier. I don't know. Come in on the Graf Spee. This is also not how to make this run, but I had enough AA going, I didn't want to waste my time. And of course, Japanese bombs doing Japanese bomb things. You saw one fall like straight down and one overpen. So a lot of overpens on that run, which is sad, but not that uncommon. I find the Japanese bombs will do really good work against certain targets, but it is commonly very, I mean, as you would expect, very target dependent. Sometimes they just have too much pen for the cruisers that you're going to run into in these middle tiers. Grab the torpedo bombers coming back because I've got one cruiser in the cap circle and another one swanning, or actually both in the cap circle now that I look at it. And this is a great run because literally as I come down to the deck here, I have the option to torpedo either cruiser. I can adjust my aim either way. I just put these into the water figuring I'm going to get somebody, right? And it turns out I'm going to get 2 into the Königsberg, and that's really going to hurt. Yep, he goes down to almost just under, he's down under 2,500 now. The Budyoni, to his credit, turns in, so this is I wanted to put this drop on him, but that's not going to happen. So I figure, you see there the Königsberg engine is out. We'll put those torpedoes in the water and hopefully get him off the board. And there we go. First blood. The rockets have had some time to regen and to regroup, so I grab them, pull them off the deck, and head back to the cap circle. The T-22 is determined as ever. He's back in the cap circle. I'm not sure why when he's that low and he doesn't have as much help as he really should, but okay. He's back in the cap circle. See the Budyoni running there. He's way over on the 9 line. Excuse me, the 1 line, running north. I get lined up on the T-22. I do get a good drop off here, but unfortunately, RNG is paying me back. I only get 3 of those rockets. I do reset him at least. I line up for the killing blow on this Budyoni. Oh. Womp, 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 womp. Get beaten to it by my team. That's okay. I'm particularly proud of the line that I took there, right? With the drop on the T-22, lining it up so that I could immediately go right back into a drop on the Budyoni. That would have worked if my team hadn't just beat me to the punch. Sometimes that happens. Bring the rockets back for a shot on the Graf Zeppelin, and just like before, we land all 8 for a really nice little hit there, almost 6k. Graf Spee is not that well armored. She just really isn't. She is, at this tier, those guns, she can absolutely bully cruisers, right? But the ship has no armor. You can Citadel that thing with Nuremberg shells, right? She's just not that hard to punch through. So, once again, we reach for the dive bombers. I see a big giant citadelable cruiser sitting in my cap circle. I don't approve of this at all. He's in a point-blank duel with this Minakaze, which I don't recommend for either of them. Minakaze managing to miss at least those 2 torps, coming in with the other 2 racks now. And he is going to do some good work. He's going to get 2 more of them in, and it looks like a sicky flood. Team cleans up the T-22. I'm coming in to clean up the Graf Spee. I'm actually learning how to steer dive bombers mid-drop. And right as I put these 2 pins through his deck, he floods out due to the Minakaze. So I did the Minakaze a solid there. If I'd waited literally a split second more, my damage would have killed him. I went back and watched that in slow motion. When those 2 bombs land, they're both full pins, so I do about 4k to him or so. And then he has, when the bombs are done dealing their damage, he has 395 hit points left, and that last tick of flood goes to the Minakaze, who gets the kill. Grab the torpedo bombers again. Now there's all of these big, squishy, fat, slow, mid-tier battleships up here north of the A-cap. You see a Warspite on a Koenig that are well spotted. Look on the minimap, you can see New Mexico back there as well. And I'm going to take a line on this Warspite where he's not even going to know I'm here until I'm putting torpedoes into the water. He's snuggled up next to this island. Now that is going to make the drop a little difficult. I have to make sure that the torpedoes drop into the water and not drop onto the island. The angle for doing this is sometimes a bit challenging. I'm trying to adjust my camera to give me the ability to see, and that might have worked, that should have worked, but I don't have time to check because I've immediately got a run lined up on this New Mexico. So we go back down to the deck, and I apparently hit none of those torpedoes on the Warspite. I wonder if they had time to arm. I don't know. I was really proud of the angle of that drop, but then somehow I managed to blow the timing of it anyway. Get 2 into the water there on the New Mexico, and on my way out, I figure, well, look at this. I'll just go put some torpedoes into this Ranger. Now, this is a little tricky. He does have his combat air patrol up, so that means I have to drop a little farther back in order to try and salvage these planes. But the good news is, he's playing an airfield. He's not playing an aircraft carrier. His engines aren't on. He hasn't touched them all match. So it makes putting those torpedoes into the water stupidly easy. I give them about, they probably run 3 kilometers or so. You can see here, I've got the next planes off the deck, and I'm ready to go before those torpedoes even hit, and I land them both. Kind of nice to see. Grab the dive bombers again. I need to get the torpedo bombers a little time to recharge. One thing about playing carrier, it's possible to continually spam the same plane type in certain carriers and in certain situations, but in general, you're going to find yourself having to cycle through. I went with the torpedo bombers last time. Now I'm grabbing the dive bombers, coming in on this Warspite as he's in the middle of the board. And yeah, it's nice to know that I can actually land citadels on this guy. We get a pin and a sit. That's a pretty good little solid hit there, about 6k. Flip around, let's try that again. Now that I know I can citadel you, I'm a lot more interested in trying this again, Mr. Warspite. You and I are going to become very good friends until one of us is no longer here. Nice thing about him, he's slowing down, it seems. I put both of those down, and, well, no sits, but a couple more full pens. With some time to recoup and rest, the torpedo bombers are back, ready to go. So we pull them off the deck. He's right here. I've got a little island cover from him. He would be able to see me on the surface, if not for the fact that I'm stopped behind that little island you see there in about G3. He's trying to turn into the middle of the board, but I'm going to make sure that we get this guy off the board. He's all by himself, and he's just up here doing his thing. He does manage to dodge one of those torpedoes. Takes another one in the stern. As I think this is the Fuso. Yeah, I've got a Fuso down there on the H-line that's throwing shells into him. Coming in for a cross drop here. I made him turn. Now we're not going to be able to react to this one. Very commonly, this is what happens. You see battleships react this way when you're playing carrier, right? Like he comes in, he turns to avoid the first set, but he's simply not going to be able to get his rudder to react in time to avoid the second set. My planes simply maneuver faster, and we do eventually catch him. And just like that, with 9.5 minutes gone, we've killed 10 enemy ships and have a commanding lead. And so, while my torpedo bombers chill out, kind of on the south side of this New Mexico, well out of his AA range, I set some waypoints up. I'm going to go try and cap A. Take my hull and get up there and get moving. This is one of those rare games. You know, I've heard, if you've seen some of the comments and the conversations I've been having with people on these videos, especially when I do carrier videos, I make the point of saying that in short games, carriers really struggle to have an impact and rack up good damage totals because, in general, they don't get the opportunity to really flex their muscles and, if you'll pardon the pun, spread their wings. I'll continue that thought in a minute. I'm going to make a point here. This is a mistake. I've got a single plane left in this squadron. He's red, which means he's almost dead. I should never have attempted this drop. His standard A, his just regular continuous A, will easily knock that plane out of the sky. So that's a plane loss that I didn't have to take. Something you need to be considering when you're considering when you've done a drop, an attack run on an enemy ship. Look at the health of your planes. Look at what you've got left. Consider what you're up against, and go, all right, is this last run worth it, or should I pull these planes out, put them back on my deck, and bring back a full squadron of something else? But what I was saying earlier about short games not really being conducive to good damage, there's a little bit of that going on here, right? Now I'm at about 75,000, with a little over the halfway mark here. That's not too bad. The trick here, what's going to pad my damage totals here towards the end of the game, is that the two ships left are both capital ships, and I'm able to do really good work against these guys. I'm coming in for a very long, protracted torpedo run on this Ranger. See, he's got his combat air patrol up. I'm trying to dodge as many of those as I can. He's moving, so I have to lead these a bit. I put 2 in the water, and I pull the entire squadron out, and I still lose a few planes. You see there, his combat air patrol following those fighters up, following those bombers out of the run, and I lose 3 or 4 of them. I do manage to land both torpedoes, however, which against a Ranger is no joke. And as I went in on that run, I dumped a fighter you see there on the minimap at about D3. And I did that intentionally. I wanted to keep him lit. I wanted to keep spotting him. That's for my team, the cruisers behind me. Come back with the rocket planes. I know what I can do to a Ranger with rockets, right? We've seen it in other games, and long experience. I just know what I can do to him with anybody's rockets, basically. He's got about 8K. I should be able to put about 6 into him with these rockets. Maybe 5,800 or so. I do land all 8. There it is. 5,808. But not quite enough. My teammates polish him off, and now we're down to just the enemy, New Mexico, slogging through the top of the map, and about B6 over there, all by himself, just trying to do what he does. And if there's a battleship all by himself, Ryūjō knows exactly what to do. She spits out some torpedo bombers and goes to work. So I cycle the rockets back to the deck, grab the torpedo bombers to go clean this game up. So this has been a very, very quick game in Ryūjō, and I'm going to end with a pretty respectable damage total. I did bag a Confederate there by putting some rockets into the torpedoes, I should say, into the Ranger earlier. Ryūjō is this ship is a holy terror when she's top tier. Of all the tier 6 carriers, right, when you zone into a tier 5 or 6 game and you see a Ryūjō, you're just like, oh man. Because one of these things in the hands of somebody who understands her capabilities and understands what targets she needs to be after is nasty. She's just nasty. She up tiers a little better than the other 2 carriers, but the fragility of her plane starts to bite her a bit at that point. She can do really good work against select targets in select situations when she's bottom tier. Whereas the kind of brute force approach you have with Ranger and Furious, the more health they have on those planes, gives them the ability to push home strikes that a Ryūjō pretty much can't when she's up tiered. But when Ryūjō is top tier, this thing is an absolute monster in the hands of somebody who understands the mechanics and understands her planes. This poor New Mexico is our last casualty. So there you go, guys. That's a fairly quick game, but a look at kind of how Ryūjō plays, some of her strengths, some of her weaknesses, and again, when she is top tier, she is just brutal. So yeah, I enjoy playing this ship. The common thinking that we've been having in the clan amongst our little tier 6 challenge is that whoever wins the competition is probably going to win on a Ryūjō game in a top tier situation like this. And sure enough, I have quite a bit of XP in this game. But I will say that I've had better damage results. You're going to laugh at this. I've had better damage results out of Furious. I had a game in Furious that I may bring to the channel where I was bottom tier and almost cleared 130,000 damage. So there are situations where even as a bottom tier carrier at tier 6, you can get really, really good work out of the game, out of your planes, out of your damage. It's just a lot of it is target selection and kind of understanding the mechanics of what you're dropping on and what you're fighting. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Appreciate you tuning in. Wash your hands, be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.